Okay, so hello folks, welcome to another episode of the Instahyre Roundtable, and this is a place where ideas and leaders meet. So today's agenda is about building resilience, preparing your workforce for economic uncertainty, and we have a leader from SoftwareOne. So before we get into the details, let me talk about what we do at Instahyre. What do we stand for? We are a platform which allows candidates and companies to find talent with 10x more accuracy and 10x less time. We are trusted by companies like Amazon, Google, PayPal, Oracle, Walmart. 10,000 plus other companies work with us like Morgan Stanley, Maya, Cisco, etc. And today we have a leader from SoftwareOne, Navjyot Kaur, and she's a talent acquisition partner. So, Navjot, welcome to the Inside Roundtable and a brief introduction about yourself for our audience, please.
Thank you so much, Sarjeet. As you all know, I'm Navjyot Kaur. I am a senior talent acquisition partner at SoftwareOne. Been with this organization for 5 years now. It has been a crazy journey, but very exciting, very exciting. Um, and like any other HR professional, I started with being the sourcer, and then slowly and steadily just started taking more and more opportunities within the organization. What else? I'm originally from India, and that too specifically UP, but most recently I've moved to Ireland to do my master's here from the University of Galway.
Lovely to have you, Navjot. And we'll
Thanks.
start off with the first question. Navjot, could you walk us through your journey from school and college to the present role, which is the talent acquisition role which you have, and a little bit about your hometown and memory, like which is like standing out as one of your happiest memories in life?
Yeah, definitely. And as I said, it has been a crazy ride, right? So I wouldn't have imagined growing up this fast. And since the very beginning, I've always I remember being very opinionative about most of the stuffs, right? And it feels like that is one of the things that got me through. So even back in the college, I've always had this interest in leading any event, or being in the front end, or of most of the stuff. So basically, interested more on the management side of the world, right? And being from the technical background, I mean, like my bachelor's is in electronics and communication, right? So being from the technical background and shifting the focus to more of a management role, and that to HR, it just has been very interesting, right? So the idea was to basically be in the people industry kind of world, and I love technology without a doubt. From my bachelor's to my experience, I've always tried to get the technical part involved in my career as well. Like, for example, even I'm on the TA front, I always just make sure that I know enough of technology, to speak with the customers, to speak with the candidates, and with the stakeholder itself, right? So, amazing achievements and trying.
So, let me ask you some pivotal moments in your life. Has there been any life changing incident, like personal or professional, that you would like to share with us, like which has significantly influenced your approach or perspective?
Um, yeah, I mean, and let me just, before that, let me just tell you, for me, it was very interesting to work with different type of leaders, different type of companies, right? Um, and I knew what kind of leader I always wanted to be and what kind of not, right? So, and that's one of the things that has always stuck with me, uh, in a way that I've had some various experience from various with various HR professionals, or even with the candidates, right? But one of the things, I mean, that always been on the top of my head was the image, the mentality of HR in India specifically, right? And I always take pride in what I do, but when I was on the other side of the table, right? we all, at some point in time, we all actually are on the other side of the table, right? Interviewing with the companies and all that stuff. So when I was on the other side of the table, I was like, yes, these processes are bad, right? So all this while, when I was hearing from the candidates why they don't like working with HRs, what are the things they don't like working with HRs, it, at that point in time, it didn't sound like these people are even, thinking logically, thinking factually. But as I said, when I was on the other side of the table, I was like, yes, their frustrations were valid, right? There's no communication process, there is no transparency in the whole process of, of the interview, or of, of any HR process, right? And yeah, that was one of the moments when I think this is something that I really want to do. This is something where I could bring an impact, right? And as I said, I take pride in the way I work.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, from there I knew the main thing that I wanted to do was to develop that kind of safe platform where even candidates can, just give me their feedback, and I can deliver the feedback in the most transparent way, right?
Okay.
And I know I cannot improve the whole HR image individually, but I again know that I'm working with amazing people, and along with them, I'll be able to, change the view people have about HR or talent acquisition literally.
Okay, okay, lovely. So, like coming to the talent acquisition role. So, what is your thoughts on how talent acquisition plays a pivotal role in building a workforce that is also prepared for economic challenges, as we have seen the world go through a lot of swings in financial
Yeah.
swings. So, how do you think talent acquisition plays a pivotal role in building a workforce that's prepared for economic challenges?
Yeah, great question. And I do think so. I mean, like, one of the main things, Sarabjit, that we really need to understand is that the talent acquisition is the main pillar of any organization. It's a very important pillar for any organization, right? And not because I'm saying this because I've been in the TA role so far, but also from the business perspective, if you see, right? So TA is the beginning of any process, of any journey, right? So TA needs to be first prepared of all the changes that's coming, and by the nature and expectations of TA, they need to adapt to change first and fast, right? So that's one of the things that they really need to take care of, right? So for them, to believe in the change is what really matters. You cannot sell unless you believe what the change is all about. And whatever the changes are happening internally, they're positive, right? They have a very positive outcome, right? So TA needs to be very clear of the expectation that they're setting up with the candidates in
Okay.
the very initial process, right? And I don't mean that you need to scare the candidates
Hmm.
off in the first round, no, but just being very transparent about what's happening, what could happen,
Hmm.
where the role looks like in 1 year is really important, right? Also, just talking about the feedback a couple of minutes back, TA needs to be in the front of delivering that feedback, right? Be it to the candidates, be it to the leaders, they are the market facing folks, right? And
Yeah.
I think some of the TA are just hesitant of delivering that honest feedback because they think that the recipient, they might not take it the very well way, right? So they need to be honest and in giving that feedback to the customers or to the leaders itself, right? So we need to start with that and then take it from there. What else? I also say, from a TA perspective, a lot of people, I don't know, if you've come across the same similar thing, but when a role gets open internally within the organization,
Hmm.
a lot of TA people just start working on that particular role right then, right there, right? So it doesn't happen like that, right? When it
Exactly.
comes to changes, when it comes to the kind of world that we are living right now, we need to be well prepared, right? I need to what I mean by that is any kind of strategy, when we implement it on an episodical basis, it's just not going to work for a very longer time, right? So we need to be very mindful of, if we are doing this, this is going to help us, 3 months from now, and or even 9 months from now. So that 30, 60, 90-day kind of plan should be there for everybody, throughout the organization, right? So, building that pipeline, building that competitive pipeline of the talent is what's needed in this time of, changes, because this not only helps with the cost, with the economy thing, this also, just brings the person faster on board, and make them hit the ground like as soon as possible, and all that stuff, right? So developing that streamlined process for interview, developing your talent pipeline ahead of time is what's really important in these times of changes.
Great, great. So, another thing which I wanted to know, like in this kind of scenarios which we have seen, like uncertain scenarios. So, can you share your most significant achievement, whether it's like rooted in personal growth or maybe professional success? Anything which you want to share in this
Yeah.
kind of environment? Yeah.
No, it's great. And again, everything just backs to being resilient, right? So, my leader always mentioned that, I'd be successful if I start seeing the bigger picture of it. Uh, and initially, it was difficult, It was difficult because we are in a kind of rules where we eventually associate our emotions with either the customers or with the leaders internally, right? So it was very difficult to understand this whole bigger picture kind of scenario, and that's the whole idea of being resilient, right? So once you react to the change right away, you're not being resilient, right? So you're not in control of your own emotions, right? So, and I do think so. The process, the journey of this, from where I was and to be able to see the bigger picture now has been difficult, and I think I count that as one of my biggest achievement, right? This not only helped me professionally but also personally, right? So to be able to see the bigger picture of any action has the most significant impact on the business and on your life, and you're just able to see clear, right? You don't have to react right away. You just need to see what might happen of this action, of this situation, maybe 3 months from now, maybe one year from now. So the vision is really important to be able to accept any change. And as I said, the process is difficult, but once you're able to understand the bigger picture, that actually becomes your achievement. So yeah, I would count that as one of my significant achievements.
Great. So I move on to the next question. Navjot. The next question is, so what is like over the course of your career, is there one piece of advice or technique which you have consistently relied on or found which is invaluable in your professional life or your endeavors in your professional life?
Yeah. I have short answer and the long answer for this, right? So short answer is pause. Okay, just pause. Long answer is, you know you really need to just take a breath, just see what happened, and then reflect on it, right? And I guess all of this you get to experience as you grow, but is very useful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, most of the things, these are the things that kind of make you resilient anyways, right? So as I said prior, that when you respond to react, it doesn't make sense, right? So you really need to take a pause before taking any actions, before implementing any strategy, right? Just hold on for a moment and reflect what happened, what could have happened otherwise if I would have done it in different way, right? I remember the beginning of my career. Whenever I used to get some big or weird emails, I used to gather my counterparts. I'm like, what's the best way to reply to this email, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes sense, you replying to the email just right away in that rush of a blood. It's just gonna ruin the whole situation. Rather, you just need to see where the other person is coming from, right? So trying to understand, like others perspective, and then,
Mhm.
pausing for a moment, reflect on, what happened, what could have happened, how could I have done that better, and then, taking your next step is always very helpful. And I think everybody should be more reliant on this pausing technique, because this really helps.
Okay, that's lovely advice. A very
Yeah,
crucial one. Uh,
yeah.
Move on to the next one. It's about future proofing, right? So, as we look ahead, what kind of strategies or trends do you foresee, which is becoming essential to ensure that the workforce becomes adaptable, resilient, and also motivated to get on new steps, do on projects which might be critical at some point of time for the company, which might not be doing well, or can be going through some hard times.
Right. I would say, Sarajit, first we really need to understand the concept of resilience, right? What is resilience? A lot of people, say it being adaptable, right?
Mhm.
But it is also being, acceptable, right? So, if you go through 10,000 articles about, resilience, you'll just say that, it's about how you just come out of a situation, right? You won't be able to come out of a situation if you don't accept the situation, you don't accept the gaps and flaws, right? So the self and past reflection is so important, and we often say that we reflected on what happened, but then, ends up doing the same mistake over and over again. So doing the same mistake over and over again is not a problem, but the problem is, did you really understand the gaps? Did you really understand what happened the last time, right? So changes are happening, day in, day out, as we are speaking as well, right? And to be able to, make sure that our workforce is being resilient, we really need to develop that channel for open communication, right?
Okay.
um, Discussing the reasons for change. A lot of leaders in the organization fail to develop this challenge, where they're telling why this change is happening. What is the need for this change? They just tell their workforce that, this is a change that's happening, you need to implement accordingly. We're going to change your goals and all that stuff, right? But that's not helpful. You're not preparing your workforce of being resilient. You're just, just shifting them away from being loyal to the organization, right? So that open communication and discussing the reason for the change is very important, and that's the first thing, right? And people will be more, motivated to work in their roles when they have proper roles and guidance. So I see a lot of, organization are doing this. What do you call, buddy system now? And I've been the buddy, for many of my teammates. I got a buddy when I started with the organization, and it's just very essential at this point in time, to have that support, to have that buddy, uh, like in your first at least 6 months or 9 months, right? So that you can share with them your challenges, you can learn from their challenges. That actually creates a very safe channel for venting out as well, and that's important, right? So that's another thing. Or what else? I would say a space for creating that new learning opportunities is very important as well. You, like, let's just say if I am in this same role for 5 years, I'm not very helpful to the market as well, right? Let
Mhm.
alone my organization. So organizations should, focus more on how can we, upgrade and upskill this particular individual, right? What are some of the learning opportunities within the organization that, that this person can actually pick on, right? And as I said, earlier in the conversation, that I'm not technical, but I always make sure that um, I am getting some of that technical knowledge to be able to speak with the candidates or to the leaders itself, right? I should know what I'm selling, what my company is selling, more in the technical terms, right? So yeah, I would say that that is also very very important, and I've seen a lot of companies using that learning opportunity as one of the things to make their employees I would say ready for what's coming, the changes what's coming, right? But Sarabjit, what tops it all, I would say, is the leaders being more resilient first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if you've come across this, but Deloitte most recently did this case study on reinventing their performance management to make their workforce better resilient, right? That
Mm-hmm.
mean is, they're focusing on their leaders as well. Let's just say, if I'm an employee, I'm not doing well, you as a leader, you need to set up small and achievable goals for me to make sure that I'm coming up to that mark, right? So recognizing performance is also very important for every individual, to make them feel motivated, either with the help of non-financial or financial rewards. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we move on to the next section where we have a lot of audience questions. So a couple
Yes.
of audience questions I will ask right now. So practical resilience it's about, and I'll just name the person who have asked it, which is Meher Sharma. So what steps or actions would you recommend for organization facing immediate economic challenges to bolster team resilience? Meher Sharma.
Yeah, so Mayor, I guess part of the question I've already answered, right?
Yes.
So the
Yes.
buddy system, focusing on the leaders, right? Leaders should be first resilient in order to make the workforce better resilient. But also, I mean, if you go deep into this side of the side of the conversation, I think uh, one-time investment on resilience is not enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to continuously keep investing on the well-being of employee, right? And when I say well-being, from a mental scale, you should know that your employees are capable of being in that change, right? And if you see, one of the qualities of resilient workforce is they have better control over what's happening, right? They have better control over their emotions, their stress. They could deal with the changes in a better way, right? So how exactly you'll be able to come into this kind of space when you have a better mental well-being, right? And a lot of organizations forget that. I've seen n number of posts on LinkedIn where people just keep posting about um, how they reach their burnout, right? And that's a very sad world if if organizations are not focusing on their employees well-being, that they're reaching out, that they're reaching the burnout and all that stuff. I think that just makes their workforce weaker, right? So making sure that the employees are not reaching to their burnout and there is a proper work-life balance within the organization, it's what really important, right? And I know many leaders who just give the half a day off to their employees just for their work,
Mm-hmm.
just for their well-being, mental well-being, right? And you know no matter how much we try to ignore the fact that this plays an important value in your day-to-day work, it just remains the harsh truth, right? That a lot of the organizations forget to consider employees' well-being, well-being into the day-to-day kind of um, uh, practicality, right? So yeah, I mean, like companies need to start working more and more, on these type of activities. And also, Meher, as we see, we have moved into a very different kind of world where we are now either working from home or hybrid model, and eventually we have lost that kind of human touch, right? So uh, and if I'm sitting at my place 5 days a week just working from here, I might get stressed a lot, right? I might not be able to think beyond my limit, right? So I think companies, although not a lot of people like, going outside, meeting people, but I still think so that, companies should organize some of these events where people are able to meet their teammates, discuss with them, discuss with their challenges with others, and just be face to face, right? Learn from their from their experiences. This kinds of open up that kind of play field and help an individual to actually experience more and more.
Okay, great. So I think Meher got a very real answer for this, and I will move on to the next question which I have from Rupal Rawat. So, can you share a scenario where an intended strategy to build resilience did not pan out as expected, and the key takeaways from that experience? Rupal Rawat.
Amazing. This is a great question for sure. And just yesterday I met somebody, and he's an entrepreneur, and he was telling us about how some of the great strategies worked in his organization. And I've always like, hey, you just keep talking about the strategies that worked, but you never talk about the strategies that didn't work, right? And I remember, from this, I remember one of the instructors I've had in my experience. Uh, this instructor used to always uh, tell the employees about accepting the failure, accepting what happened, right? But then nothing about that.
Mm-hmm.
So one of I won't say a strategy, but yes, one of the failed moments in terms of resilience was that you have taught your employees how to accept the failure, but you're not talking about what to do after that, right? So the whole idea was to acknowledging the failure, right? And this was one of my takeaways, that everybody was acknowledging the failure, but they didn't know how to deal with the failure, how to partner up with the failure, right? And as I said, I'm currently doing my master's from Ireland, and let's consider failure as a university, right? What I mean by that is, university is a source for feedback, for opportunities, for support, right? So if you see I would say failure from that perspective, it's not alone. So when you fail any situation, you need to seek the feedback out of it, you need to seek the support, the opportunities out of that failure, right? And then implement it in your next step. So putting yourself under that big magnifying glass and trying to figure it out, if I failed in this situation, how would I able to do this similar situation in the past, right? What were some of the strategies I took, what some of the support I could get out of this situation, opportunities to basically build on this particular failure, right? So that's really important, right? And that's one of the takeaways from that failed, I would say strategic advice. Just focus on what exactly you could take out of the failure. Are there any opportunities that's coming where you could actually implement the better learnings from your failure? I hope that answered your question.
Yes, I guess so. A very detailed one. And now we move on to the next section. So we have been talking about recruitment, talent acquisition, people success. Now we move on to the other side of the table and help a few of the good folks to get better jobs, their dream jobs. So this section is known as Golden Nuggets, where we talk about how you can get your dream job. So a bit of advice from you, Navjot. So when it comes to interview preparation, what is that one often very overlooked aspect that candidates should focus on, which could significantly increase their chances of getting selected or success?
Various things. One is just not enough, but yeah, I will tell you the most important thing that I always keep on the top of my head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, is you should be very well prepared of the person that you're talking to.
Okay.
Uh, you know, if I'm interviewing with you, Sarabjit, what I'll do is I'll just look about what Instahyre does, right? I look about everything about Instahyre, but I'll forget to look about what you do. So you should be always well prepared about people that you're talking with.
Mm-hmm.
I I know a lot of people, when they're done, when they did, in the past, when they were done with their interviews, I asked them, who was the person you interviewed with? And they were like, I can't remember the name. I don't know the name. They were in the invites and all that stuff. So that is one of the, example of you not being prepared for your interview, right? So when I say, what looks amazing in an interview is basically you being prepared about the company and about the interview, right? And one of the advice that always I would say has been successful so far, no matter to whom I've given this, is just see, what the organizations are doing most recently, right? About their culture, right? What are the challenges they are facing right now? And when you're going to the interview, just say, hey, Surabjit, I see that Instahyre might be dealing with these kind of challenges. I think, my experience might help you with these challenges, right? So when you dig deeper into the organization, not just from services, not just from technological perspective, but also from their culture, from their challenges, what are they doing? What are some of the events they just did? You need to know all these stuff to make a better impression in the interview, and to also give the interviewer a chance to question you back on the things you have read about the company, or how can how do you think that you are better, that you can provide a better result or better solution for a challenge like this and in Shahayat, right? So I guess that's very important. You need to just look beyond the organization, go deep into their culture, into the people that they have, what kind of people lead, which kind of roles and all that stuff. So that's very important, and always came very handy, with the interviews. One of the most recent examples, we are doing this, I would say, placements in our college. And I gave this feedback to one of my close friends, and she applied it, and she actually got a job in the marketing agency, right? So when you actually go deep into the organization, try to know more about the organization, that really helps and put a very positive impact on any interviewer.
Okay, great. So I think a lot of job seekers and like prospective candidates will get a lot of feedback from this, and then they can prepare better. So move
Yes.
on to the last section which we have, which is a rapid fire round, and it's a very interesting round. And so Navjot, when you're ready, I will start off with the rapid fire. Are you
Okay,
ready?
I am. I think I am
Okay.
ready. Yes.
So we'll start with the first question. What is your morning ritual? Coffee or tea?
Tea, always tea.
Okay. About recruitment strategy, intuition or data?
Data.
Okay. About your feedback approach, direct or diplomatic?
Direct.
Okay. Preference of vacation, mountains or beaches?
Oh, damn. Mountains all day. Oh, yes, mountain, please.
Mountains. Okay. Lovely. The next question is technology in HR. Is it a boon or a bane?
It's both. Sorry, I need to be diplomatic here. It's both, depending on how we are using it, and in which scenarios we are using to depict, the result, the solution. It totally depends on that
Okay. Uh, the first impression, resume design or content?
content.
Okay, so with that, we come to an end of the rapid fire round, and I hope you have a great time with me and
Yeah,
all our
this has
folks
been
out there.
great.
Yeah, thank you so much, Navjot, for joining in and taking time for your busy schedule. And our folks loved it. We will also send across all the details to all our folks. Other questions which you have been asked, I will send you across on an email. Okay.
Amazing. Thanks, Arabji.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank
It has been an amazing experience. Bye bye.
you.